Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Kuf Nun Gimel Amud Beis. 10 lines from the bottom. We learned until now that a person has a kis, he has a pocketbook that is on his person and he did not yet reach his destination before Shkia on Shabbos. He's able to then give it to a Nachri, to a Gentile. Thereby, instead of him carrying it Dalad Amos Dirshu Sarabim, the Chacham were making and said over here, we allow Amira La'akum, we allow him to give the kis to the Nachri, and thereby is no Isser, even Midirabonon. The Gemara said if there's no Nachri present, then he may put the kis on the Chamor that he's with. Ask the Gemara, what about the Isser of Mechamer? After all, if a person does malacha with an animal, that means to say that he leads the animal to do malacha. In this case, he puts an object, the kis, on the back of the chamor, where the chamor will then be transporting it. He'll be over an Isser Mechamer, an Isser Diraisa. To which the Gemara answered, there's no malacha gemura here because he puts it on the back of the chamor when it's already walking. So thereby there's no akira and a hanacha, which is making the chiyuv of a malacha gemura of havara dalad amos nishus arabim. There's only a hanacha. The Gemara now discusses what's going to be the punishment for somebody who is over the Isser Mechamer. Says the Gemara, Omarami bar Chamo, HaMechamer achar behemto b'Shabbos b'shoigeg chayiv chatos b'mezid chayiv skila. Just like all of the other 39 malachos, this would be included in the malacha, let's say, of Hoitzah, whereby if he does so b'shoigeg, he's chayiv chatos. If he does so b'mezid, he's going to be chayiv kores. And if he does with a warning, it'll be skila. My taima asks the Gemara, what's the reason? Omar Rove, the Omar Kro, this pasuk says, Lo sase komalacha, ato uvehemtecha. The pasuk says, you shall not do work. And the pasuk goes on to say, Lo sase komalacha, ato uvincho vitecha avdach v'amoscha vehemtecha, including having your animal do work for you. So not only do you have to desist from doing labor on Shabbos, malacha on Shabbos, so too your animal has to desist from doing malacha on your behalf. You cannot lead it to do malacha. Behemta dumya didei. The behema is similar to himself. Mahu b'shoigei chayiv chatos. Just like when he does the malacha himself, he's going to be chayiv chatos. B'mezid chayiv skila. If he does so, b'mezid chayiv skila. Af behemto nam b'shoigei chayiv chatos. B'mezid chayiv skila. So too, when he leads his animal to do malacha, then if it's b'shoigeg, it's going to be chatos. B'mezid skila. Omar Rava, now it becomes clear that the statement before was not Rava, but was Rabba. That's the correct girsa. Because here, Rava now challenges that which Rava just stated, which was really Rabba now, who said that he's going to be Chayiv Chatos B'Shogeg and Chayiv Skila B'Mezid. Ask Rava, Omar Rava, on what Rabba stated. Shtei Teshuvos B'do. There are two responses to rebut what you just said. Chada, first of all, in regard to the shoygeg of being chayiv chatos, dichsiv, it states, Torah achas yelochem lo eise b'shkoga. In regards to avodah zara, it states the words Torah achas. That's the language of the pasuk. Torah achas yelochem lo eise b'shkoga. Those who do b'shoygeg, it's called Torah achas, and the next pasuk goes on to say, "V'hanefesh asher taseh biyad ramo," and the nefesh that does the iser of avodah zara. So we have the two psukim that are brought together, and it calls again in regards to avodah zara Torah achas. So the Gemara explains, "Huksha kol Torah kula avodah zara." The entire Torah, as the pasuk states, Torah achas is compared to avodah zara. In what sense? In the following. Ma avodah zara da ovid maise begufei hochanami ad da ovid maise begufei. Just like avodah zara is when he himself does a maisa, only then he's going to be chayiv. So too, and he does that b'shog, he's going to be chayiv a korban chatos. So too, in order to be chayiv a korban chatos, one must do a maisa himself. And here, by leading the behemoth, by calling it, for example, that's not a ma'isa he's doing himself with the behemoth, and therefore he cannot be chayiv a korban chatos if he does so b'shoigeg by b'mechamer. That's the first response, the first rebuttal. V'oid, in regards to the chiyuv skila b'mezid, says Rava, Tnan, it states in the Mishnah, in Sanhedrin, HaMechalos HaShabbos b'dovar shechayavin al shigos chatos v'al zdonei skila. There the Mishnah states that a person who does his mechal Shabbos in a matter they'll be chayiv chatos by doing so b'shoigeg, and be chayiv skila by doing so b'mezid. Michlal, it follows the fact that it states in the Mishnah in this language is one who's mechalel es haShabbos b'dovar shechayavin alel chatos b'shoigeg or zdoinoi b'skila is mashma that there's such a thing as mechalel Shabbos that is not going to be chayav skila b'mezid. Again, michlal, it follows the ika midi that there is something that when a person is mechalo Shabbos, the ein chayavin ashigos chatos v'al lo izdoinoi skila. That there is something that a person does mechal Shabbos with, he will not be chayav chatos b'shoigeg or skila b'mezid. Umaynihu. So what is this assumed to be? Lav de mechamer. So we must be talking about the mechamer. So we found over here, says Rava, that indeed a person will not be chayiv chatos b'shoigeg or skila b'mezid, because we were medayik this from the Mishnah in skila in Sanhedrin that there's something mechamer that is not going to be chayiv those things. Gemara's doichen says no, loy. We're not talking about mechamer. What is that? What we're referring to over here? Techumin. Valid Rabbi Akiva. That which is techumin. A person cannot go beyond 2,000 amos of his domain on Shabbos, and thereby, even though many hold that this is midirabban, Rabbi Akiva is of the opinion this is deraisa. For that, Rabbi Akiva is saying he will not be chayiv chatas if he does so b'shogeg, or if he goes beyond those limits, he will not b'mezi, he will not be chayiv skila. The Gemara brings also, it could be something else. V'havara lid Rabbi Yosi, or havara according to Rabbi Yosi, in regards to kindling of flame. The pasuk says, lo sevaru eish. So why does the pasuk have to single out, you shall not kindle a flame on Shabbos? Hare, it says, lo sa'aseh kol malacha. And included in the lamed tes malachos is kindling a flame. The fact that it singles it out states, according to Rabbi Yosi, that you're not going to be chayiv chatas b'shogeg and skila b'mezid. It's a regular lav. So therefore it's not referring to mechamer. Says the Gemara in Daf Kuf Nun Daled Amud Aleph at the very top, another version of what we just stated before in the name Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama, we said until now, made a statement again that a person who does a mechamer is going to be, shogi is going to be chayiv chatos, b'meiz is going to be chayiv skila. That was the first version of Rami Bar Chama. We have another version stated on the top of Kuf Nun Daled Amud Aleph. Rav Zvid Masni Hochi. Rav Zvid, he taught differently in the name of Rabbi Bar Chama as follows. Omer Rabbi Bar Chama, hamechamer achar behema b'Shabbos, one who leads a behema in doing malach on Shabbos, b'shoigeg eino chayev chatos, b'mezid chayev chatos. If he does so b'shoigeg, he will not be chayev chatos. If he does so b'mezid, then he will be chayev skila. In other words, it's not going to be consistent like he said before. The first version was that he's not chayiv chatas, he's not going to be chayiv skila. Here he's saying that he will not be chayiv chatas, but he would be chayiv skila if he does so b'mezid. Masiv Rava now asks on this version of Ram Bar Chama, HaMechalis HaShabbos b'dover shechayavin al shigos chatos chayav al zdoina skila. It states over here in the Brisa, one who's mechalel Shabbos, so if he does so b'mezid, he's going to be chayiv chatos. If he does so b'mezid, he's going to be chayiv skila. Diuk ha'ein chayavin ashigos chatos ein chayavin as doina skila. If he's not going to be chayiv for doing so b'shoigeg echatas, and he will not be chayiv for doing b'mezid skila. So how can you tell me, Ran Bar Chama, that by shigas malacha he will not be chayiv chatas, by zdoinoi malacha he'll be chayiv skila? They go hand in hand. If he's not chayiv for the shoigeg chatas, and not going to be chayiv for the mezid of skila. The Gemara is doicha and says miktani, who taught ha'ein chayavin v'chulei? Who taught this? Rather, hochi ka'amar. This is how you have to say it was stated. Davar shechayavin al shigos chatos, chayavin al zdones skila. That which a person does b'shoigeg is going to be chayiv chatos. That which he does b'mezi is going to be chayiv skila. However, v'yesh davar, there is something different. She'ein chayavin al shigos chatos v'chayavin al zdones skila. There is something, however, that if he does so b'shogi will not be chayiv chatas, and if he does so b'mezi will be chayiv skila. Umayniu, what is this? Mechamer. This is mechamer, leading an animal to do malach on your behalf. Says the Gemara, Vaiter Rava Achua, the Rav Mori Bar Rochel, Rava, the brother of Rav Mori Bar Rochel. Va'am Meilan, there are those who say, Avua de Rav Mori Bar Rochel. It was the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel. So we have two different versions. The first version says it's Rava, the brother of Rav Mori Bar Rochel. Or the second version that says it was the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel. The Gemara takes issue with the second version that says it was the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel, because Mori Bar Rochel, he was really born to Rochel, as stated over here. Rav Mori was the son of Rochel. Who was Rochel? Rochel was the son of Shmuel. And Rochel was held captive at a certain point in her life, and one of her captors cohabited with her and had Mori. So here in the words of Chazal, in the Gemaras, they refer to Rav Mori as Rav Mori Bar Rochel, out of respect to Rav Mori. They call him the son of Rochel, because his father, whose name was Iser, wasn't a Jew then, and subsequently he did convert, but at the time that he was conceived by his captor and Rachel's captor, and thereby his father was not Jewish. So the Gemara takes issue by saying that this was a version of saying that the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel, because presumably the father of Rav Rochel was not Jewish, and therefore the Gemara says now, Lelishna Basra, according to this lashon that you want to say it's the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel, Kasha, it's difficult, because Hod the Rav Achshere Rav Mori Bar Rochel. Rav had to be machshir. He had to say that Rav Mori Bar Rochel is fitting to be appointed as an officer. Umanye bepurse de Bavel, to be appointed as an officer in Bavel. Dahainu, that there is a requirement that a person's parents be Jewish in order to be appointed as an officer. However, Rav said the fact that his mother was Jewish is enough to then appoint him as an officer. Now, why did Rav have to then say that he's fitting to be appointed as an officer because his mother was Jewish? If his father was also Jewish, there's nothing to be in doubt. Both parents are Jewish. Elamai, you see from here, says the Gemara, that you cannot say that his father was indeed the father of Rav Mori Bar Rochel because he wasn't Jewish. So the Gemara takes issue with that second version. Now the Gemara goes back to the Inyanenu, to what it's beginning to say. Dilma, before it does so, it just is doich and said, Dilma Trey Mari Bar Rochel, could be that there are two different Mari Bar Rochels, and therefore it could be a valid version in the Lishna Basri to say it was the father of Mari Bar Rochel. Fine. Now they're going to go back to the Inyanenu. Hava Masni Lo Lahashmaitze, Mishmed Rabbi Yochanan Liftor. He taught this halacha in the name of Rabbi Yochanan to poiter as follows. Omar Rabbi Yochanan stated, HaMechamer Acher Behemto B'Shabbos Potter Mikulam. He says, Miklum. He says that Rabbi Yochanan says a person who leads an animal to do malach for him on Shabbos is going to be potter from every single possibility. And he goes and explains, B'shoigeg loy mechayev chatos. He's not going to be chayev chatos if he does so b'shoigeg. The hukshe kol haTorah kula avodah zarah. As we stated before, of the hekesh to avodah zarah. It says Torah achas, and there it says one who does so b'shoigeg is going to be done only he does a maisa. And therefore, over here, by Mechamer, he's not doing a Maisa, the Behem is doing the Maisa. So he's excluded from Chatos B'Shogeg. B'Mezi Nami Lo Mechayev, also in regards to being Chayev, Skila B'Mezi, also not. This not, as we brought from the Mishnah before, HaMechalas HaShabbos B'Dover Shechayev Ala Shkigas Chatos V'Alz Donos Skila. Diuk, the Mishnah states over there, that a person who's Mechalos Shabbos, and he does B'Shogeg Mechayev Chatos, B'Mezi Mechayev Skila, for certain things that is Mechayev Shabbos for, Diuk we said is Ha, Ein Chayav in Ashigos Chatos, Ein Chayav as Dones Skila. There are things that he's not going to be Chayev if he does so B'Shoigeg, Chatos, and if he does so B'Mezi, he's going to be Chayev Skila. So therefore he's not going to then be Chayev B'Mezi. Belav Nami Loi Mechayev. For the lav, getting malchus, he will also not be obligated. The havale lav sheniton la'azar is misas bezin, because this lav of the osasim malacha is used up for those who are chayev misas bezdin, for all of the other malachos. The kol lav sheniton la'azar is misas bezin ein loikin lav. We have a klal that a person needs, if he already has an azar that's being used up for misas bezdin, he cannot then get malchus for that lav. In order to be punished, the klal is you have to have a lav, an azhara, to give the punishment. And if that lav, that azhara, is already used up for the capital punishments of misas bezdin, in regards to the 39 malachos, then we cannot give malchus for somebody who's over the isser mechamer. The Gemara goes on to say, "Va'afilu l'mandamer loikin on top of kufnon dalid amid beis," and even the mandamer who has this dissenting view and says one does get malchus for a lav that's used up from azar's misas bezdin, he can still get malchus. Then over here still asks the Gemara, lichta v'rachmana loy sa'ase kol malacha uvehem techa. Why doesn't the Torah then state in a different manner and say, loy sa'ase kol malacha, you shall not do every malacha of the 39 malachos, uvehem techa, and your animal. That would imply that indeed you would be chayiv if you then lead your animal to do malacha on your behalf. You'd be chayiv for that, for culpable, and get malchus. Ato lamali. Why does the pasuk, however, then separate and say lo sase kol malacha ato, and then it goes on and says later on uvehem techa. Hunami de mechayiv, to teach me why does it say ato, to teach me that you are going to be chayiv. Behem to le mechayiv. When you do a malacha, you will be chayiv, but when your animal does malacha, you will not be chayiv. So therefore, Rav Yochanan concludes that you cannot even be chayiv malchus for being mechamer. So it comes out that there's not going to be any punishment that he's culpable for the iser mechamer. Not when it comes to chatos, if he does so b'shogeg, not when it comes to skila, when he does so b'mezid, and not when it comes to even malchus, if he does so when he's over the lav, because this lav is a special lav that states lo sase kol malacha ato, and separates ato from uvehem techo.